Tao na ba kay daghan sa mga pro-administration na walking on eggshells gapon katong that's kinda ano. Grabe no ang daghan kay supporters si presidente. Pero tanan sila unsa ba kanang kung if it were reversed do you think they'll be as magnanimous? Pero tanan sila unsa ba kanang kung if it were reversed asa man sila? Do you think they'll be as magnanimous? Okay.
Okay.
Ano pa ba ya? Pakita pa na akong link.
Sige ba? Sige lang, nangatong magkukuhan. Pop beans dayon. I got it from there.
You already did.
Yeah, I got it now. Yeah, I got it.
All right. Let's do this then. Ready? We go. Alright, good evening ladies and gentlemen. Magandang gabi sa inyong lahat dito galing sa Pilipinas. Live po tayo. My name's Ron Poblete. I'm your host for Istoryang Futbolero. My co-host for tonight for Constipation Friday. Yan po ang tawag natin pag Friday dito sa Pilipinas. At ginagawa natin Istoryang Futbolero. Ang founder po ng Correct Movement, si Orion Teres Dumdum. Orion, good evening sir.
Good evening. So mga kababayan, alam niyo naman bakit Constipation Friday ang tawag dahil normally ang pinag-uusapan natin ay ang 1987 Constitution na medyo bulok na bulok at kailangan palitan na. Dahil kung hindi natin gagawin ito ay mapapatuloy tayong magkakaroon ng national constipation.
Tama.
Dahil sa bulok na Constitution.
Todong olats na talaga ang Pilipinas pag hindi pa nangyari
Olats na talaga.
Olats na. So yun, nag-usap kami ni Orion kanina at syempre maraming mga pangyayari. The last couple of days have been, what's the word for it? Medyo tragic, I guess, is the word for it. The former president, Noy Aquino, passed away 2 days ago. Was it 2 days na, Orion? Medyo na wala na ako sa aking Was it Wednesday?
Well, I think it was Wednesday. Yeah, it was Wednesday. Yeah.
Wednesday morning, no?
Oh, no. Sorry. No. It's not Wednesday. It was yesterday.
Oh, it was yesterday. Oh nga, no?
It was yesterday. It was yesterday.
Parang ang tagal na. Yesterday pala. Yesterday morning. Nangyari yung traheya na pagkamatay ng dating Pangulong Noynoy Aquino. At lahat po ay in mourning, staff po lahat ng mga flags sa buong bansa, sa lahat ng mga government offices including Malacanang. At nag-issue ng statement si PRRD regarding this. And as we usually do if a former president dies, is we offer our condolences to the family and also we pay tribute to the accomplishments of that former president. But we're not here to talk about that. Obviously, it's been happening. Marami na pong mga nagsilabasan sa social media ng condolences. Even the staunch critics of that former president ay tumahimik muna para magbigay pugay at magbigay tribute sa at sa kanyang pamilya. Out of respect, di ba? Meron talagang ganyang trait ang mga Pilipino kahit na magkakaaway sa politika ay preno muna sa lahat ng mga hostilities na nangyayari between parties.
One thing I wanted to comment was the actions of former President Gloria Macapagal Arroyo, who basically was so magnanimous. Considering that she was tormented. I mean, yung pinahirapan siya na vilified all the time. So every time there was a speech, it was always like sinisiraan lagi. Inano pa siya, pinadetention, ganyan. I mean, like, wala naman charge. I mean, it's really unfair. And yet, she actually had it in her to basically offer her condolences and even pay respects to her former student, who I'm sorry to say was not treating her well when he was still alive.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not saying this to bring up the past and say bad things about the guy. He is, after all, kind of related to me. Not to me, but related to... Basically, I have a family member who is married into their family. So, I mean, I also cannot be too critical, and I was very, very critical, and I still am, about the fact that a chance to change the Constitution for the better was not taken. And I understand that this was because he was not really the one in control. There were people behind him who forced him to do what he did not want to do. He did not want to be president. He did not want... he wanted to enjoy his life. He wanted to enjoy his life. That's what he wanted to do. But he was not allowed to. He was parang may puhunan ka. May namana kang puhunan, which is yung pangalan mo. Gamitin natin. Take advantage of it. And there were people who basically forced it onto him because it was like considered to be a sure win. Knowing how Pinoys are, let's be honest. When Cory died, before Cory died, a lot of people had already become disillusioned. Okay, maraming na dismaya sa time ni Cory kasi very well loved si Cory, tapos after that nasira yung kanyang legacy, ang daming mga maling nangyari, ang daming mga things that made people think na, alam nyo, I think she's not doing things right anymore. Then she died, and bumaliktad. Yung parang nagpasalam. People forgot about the parts na hindi na nila nagustuhan, and they just remembered 1986. That para bang bumalik dun sa 1986, and everybody just remembered that. And people who also had their misgivings. I had my complaints about Cory because she was against constitutional reform. And I just said, you know what, let's forget that and let's just celebrate the good things that she did. And so, ganyan. But obviously, when people started talking about him running for the presidency, I said, okay, that's where it ends. That's it. I'm not going for that because we should have a new system. We should have a parliamentary system. We should change the constitution and get it fixed because the country needs that to move forward. Okay?
Orion, it's a good thing that you mentioned pretty much what people are thinking. All the while this was happening, people are sometimes we are prone to get carried away by our being sentimental, our emotions towards certain personalities from our history, and yung hint of nostalgia there somewhere na 1986, which is a big deal in our history, that even though after 1986 and when President Aquino came to power, alam natin ang dami ring talagang mga pagkakamali at hanggang ngayon nga pinapagbayaran pa natin yung mga pagkakamali na yon. Nakalimutan natin bigla. Very short term rin mag-isip ang Pilipino paminsan.
Yeah.
Diba?
They got carried away. I mean, there was the situation where people just, like in my case at least, hindi naman forget, but like, sige, preno muna doon and let's just say nice things para hindi, not to hurt people's feelings, right? So, parang we nagpreno kami sa criticism. Diba? So, and then let's just remember the good things. But there are other people na talagang kinalimutan altogether lahat ng mali. And so, nangyari, yung nag-build up yung pangalan niya, blah, 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 blah. Ayan, pasok si Noynoy. And Noynoy, to be, in fairness to the guy, he did not want to be president. I mean, he really just wanted to, alam nyo, sound trip. Yun yung gusto niya eh. Nakikinig ng sounds.
Video games.
Video games. Oh, yeah. Ano siya?
Makipaglaro sa kanyang
Audiophile.
mga pamangkin. Makipaglaro sa kanyang mga pamangkin.
Eating in
Ano
good,
lang
nice restaurants, ganyan.
Yeah, just live a normal life, no?
Live a normal life. That's what he wanted. Now, he was not a high-powered individual. Yung mga parang driven to like become a doctor who would cure cancer. Wala siyang mga ganung mga, highfalutin. Wala siyang. He was just a normal guy who just wanted to be just enjoy stuff, right? And he was forced into this by people around him, people from within these cliques that really wanted access to power, and he had no way of saying no.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, he had to begin with. I mean, he was not the kind of strong personality who could easily say, look, that's not the kind of thing I'm meant to do. Sorry, I'm not doing it. He's not that kind of strong personality. So he went along with the flow, even though he didn't want to. And we ended up with what we got. That those tragedies, those senseless loss of life, that was, I would be honest, as a eulogy for the guy, it was not his fault. It was the fault of those who forced him to run. Okay?
Yeah, that's the kasi we cannot talk about this without mentioning the flaws of the system that led us here.
The system is really to blame.
Yeah, the system kasi it bred these mga power brokers. We have these people who are behind
kingmakers.
The kingmakers. We have the ABS-CBNs, the Lloyda.
Yes.
What's the last name of Lloyda?
Lewis.
Lloyda Lewis, and there's just so many people that the public don't even know, no, that are acting behind the scenes, and the ones that you see in front of the cameras, including Noy Noy, are just the product of someone else's strategy on how to maintain power. And you have families backing them up, you have oligarchs backing them up, and they're the ones having in these backroom discussions. So how do we sino kayang pwede nating ilagay diyan na pwede nating kontrolin? Hindi man siguro nila sinasabi talaga, na directly they're there to be controlled, but that's understood already. And that's why somebody like Noy Noy, who didn't really do much, when he was in Congress or in the Senate, he was just living off his family name as an Aquino. I mean, I could be wrong, no? Maybe he's done some good. I've seen some of the comments from people who paid tribute about the former president, and they say that he's done some good. I mean, in terms of the economy and so many other things, but that can be argued also that GMA has had something to do with that as well.
I think I'll give him credit where credit is due. He got the RH bill passed, and he also did not, basically the good things that GMA did for the economy, he did not reverse those. So yung mga fiscal policies that were set by GMA, bali hindi sinira yung kanya niya. Although yun nga lang, yung kunyari yung mga Roro, for example, pinasara. Yung mga Roro, yung mga ganon, diba? All these kinds of stuff.
Yung dredging project sa Laguna Bay, diba? Pinatanggal na yun. At and it's not because there's a rationale behind it that he felt that this is not beneficial to the Filipino people, but just because he held a grudge against people. That's something that is part of his legacy. He held a grudge against people that didn't exactly do what he wanted. Like for example, the former Chief Justice, diba?
Yeah, it may even be that it's not necessarily him and his grudge, but grudges held by the people behind him, the people who,
the family,
the groups that were there, the clique, that was behind him. That this club, this exclusive club, that basically forced him to run and take advantage of the name that he has, which is basically an asset under this system that we have, the presidential system of the Philippines. It's because he has that name, his name, Benigno S. Aquino the third. Dala-dala niya yung pangalan ni Ninoy, and Ninoy had a so-called good name. Ayun, nagamit niya. And because of this system, ganyan talaga. But if we had a parliamentary system na hindi ganun ka-importante yung pangalan, ang mas importante yung partido na kung saan ka galing, and the leader of the party is actually expendable, it can be changed anytime. But what's important is the party. Iba yung usapan. You can get the best person possible because hindi naman importante kung sino. Ang importante yung partido at ano yung plataforma ng partido. So you get the best person within that party who believes in the same platform, tapos yan yung magiging leader ng party nyo kasi magaling siya. Pero dito, napuwersa sila na gumamit ng taong may pangalan eh.
To add to what you're just saying, Orion, I just kasi notice some of the messages coming from the supporters of the former administration, the opposition now, and even the ones who've been very quiet, all of a sudden lumabas rin yung tunay nila na kulay na di talagang pro-Noy-Noy pala sila, or that hindi sila nagsasalita sa social media kasi alam nila na yung vitriol on social media, they didn't really need that. That now that they had the opportunity to pay tribute to the president, you can tell right away that, okay, so supporter pala talaga ito ni Noy-Noy. At marami silang nilalabas na mga kanilang ang tawag nito? Mga kanilang mga eulogy for old pictures with Noy-Noy, mga ganun. And then doon mo makikita yung what's wrong with our system and what's wrong with the way we see our politics. That it's personality based kasi kulang na lang i-canonize nila si Noy-Noy na talaga. Tapos meron pa silang lalabas sila ng mga yung sa dumaan ako kanina, nakita ko yung electronic billboard, lumabas yung yellow ribbon. Tapos understandable, he's a former president, but I think we should end this dependency on personalities to save us. Itong hero worship na mentality ng Pilipino sometimes. Na parang, porket Aquino siya, parang we owe this person a debt na parang for the rest of our lives, we're gonna treat them like saints. You know what I mean? Just because he's an Aquino. And we totally forget about the flaws. And that's what's wrong. And then we vote this, di ba? Kaya nga nagkaroon tayo ng term na necropolitics dito lang sa Pilipinas yata na uso yan na porket namatay yung asawa, yung nanay, biglang magiging viable candidate yung tao para pumalit kahit na hindi qualified, kagaya nangyari kay Noy-Noy noong 2009 dahil namatay si Cory. So those are the flaws, that are fundamental flaws that we have in our system that needs to be corrected. Parang sa correct movement. Kailangan natin talaga ma-correct ito. Kaya itong sentimentality, naiintindihan ko yan, pero hanggang doon lang dapat. Hindi dapat na it shouldn't permeate into the policy making, the actual nation building na kinakailangan natin at this point in time. And I should mature as Filipinos on how we see our leaders. Our leaders are supposed to be public servants. They're not supposed to be the ones that we should parang praise and parang kulang natin sa pedestal. Itong mga tao na ito nakikita ko na binibigyan siya ng puri sa mga Viber groups na kasama natin sa ating dating eskwelahan Orion, ay makikita mo, matatalino naman itong mga tao na to, pero parang grabe naman itong mag-alay, magbigay puri sa kanya, kay Noy-Noy. Parang ganun kagaling si Noy-Noy na presidente, di ba? Medyo nakakatindig balahibo pa minsan pag nakikita mo itong mga tao na to na so who are supposed to be, intelligent, who come from a really good school, and then nag-hero worship, which is kind of, sort of like counterintuitive to how people should be acting if you're educated. Ano tingin mo, Ryan? Diba?
Oh, I agree.
And I agree. Ito marami tayong mga messages actually, Ryan. Si Francisco Geronimo Jr., marami talagang tangang mga botante sa Pilipinas. Bago Bukas says, because of the personality-based politics here, kulang na lang magyawing monarchy ang bansa. Total, ganun naman talaga sa mga bansang may monarkiya. According to Adrian Tepes, ang magaling na leader kaya mag-produce magagaling na leader kahit wala na siya. Ian Lopez, the yellow ribbon and other symbols of necropolitics need to go. IVDC, natuto na mga Pinoy, hindi na mangyayari na may wagpag pa sila katulad ng 2019 o lahat ng 8 opposition di na nakapasok and no to necro politics. I think part of the worries here kasi Orion, alam mo naman, medyo meron na tayong trauma from our past, no? Masasabi mo na itong mga groups na to, itong power groups na to na who are behind the opposition and the Dilawan, the so-called Dilawan, hindi natin pwedeng i-underestimate itong mga to kasi meron silang resources and influence. And they will talagang iti-take advantage na nila itong pagkamatay ni Noynoy. And siguro ngayon pa lang, tag-usap-usap niya yung mga yan.
Parang,
paano kayo
parang na-energize bigla yung block na yon na wipe out dapat yun eh. Na-wipe out na sila nung 8 diretso, di ba? Ngayon, lumakas ang loob nila. We don't know yet if that's gonna take effect, right? But you can see with the way mass media is handling stuff, parang akala mo lahat, ang ganda ng nangyari nung previous administration. Now again, because we don't want to dishonor the dead, but I'm just basically saying it's not his fault. The fault lies with those people who forced that guy who did not want to be in that position and knew he was not capable of meeting the requirements of that particular position. Those people who forced him into it are the ones responsible. They are the ones who are to blame. So yun talaga yun. He just wanted to enjoy his life. That was the truth. That was the truth. And that's my eulogy. I'm basically taking the blame off him because hindi naman talaga siya. He's not the one who pulls the strings. He's not the Machiavellian guy who pulls the strings behind the scenes. No, he's not that kind of guy. He's just the guy who happened to have the name. The name that could be used in the elections. There are people behind the scenes who are the ones responsible for this. And they are the ones who have to pay. And they are the ones who are trying to make... Who knows? Who knows? Maybe some foul play was involved in this. I mean, why the hell was he cremated so fast? What? There's all this conflicting information. What time did he die? He died at 4:30 a.m. Oh no, it was 6:30 a.m. Oh, he died in his sleep. What the heck, man?
Or, you know what?
Ano ba talaga? Bakit kinimate agad?
Feeling ko nga, baka kaya kinimate ka agad, Orion, so it won't be a spectacle siguro. Like, kasi if his body were laid somewhere and then people would want to see, the supporters, the opposition, the Dilawans will meron ng, yung kanyang ashes nga nasa Ateneo, di ba? Kailan ba to?
Yeah.
Was it today? And
today.
There was a long line along Katipunan daw. And si Chris Aquino, I think, I don't know if this is accurate, but I heard somewhere na si Chris mismo ayaw niya na magkaroon ng di ba? Super spreader event. Siya na mismo, and it's surprising to hear it from Chris, no? But she's being very responsible about this. And kudos to her, no? Credit to the way she's thinking about this. But the people around Noynoy, even the ones who are not even as... Diyan talaga lumalabas talaga yung hypocrisy rin ng iba dyan. Nakikiuso lang or nakikisabay sa bandwagon at alam mo yun, nakikita siguro na opportunity to parang, let's show our support for Noynoy and this could probably start another. Alam mo yung mga lumalabas ngayon sa social media.
It could probably revive our dead political careers. I mean,
ano yung comments na lumalabas nga ngayon na halatang-halata na talaga medyo yun na nga necropolitics ngayong barahan nilalabas nila. The last time daw na may namatay na Aquino, yung a widow daw took over. Pinabagsak daw yung dictator. Mga ganung mga banat. OA, corny. dinadramatize na naman nila itong pagkamatay ni Noynoy. Hindi na sila nagsawa, no? Itong mga to talagang sometimes I question the intelligence behind the people sa opposition, that they always go back to the same tactics, the same narrative, the same approach over and over. Parang they're beating it like a dead horse. Orayon, usually pag tingin mo hindi na nagwo-work at hindi ka na pinapansin, nagbabago rin yung tact mo eh. 'Di ba? Nagbabago rin yung approach mo.
Oo, babaguhin mo eh.
Ito hindi.
Wala pa rin.
Ganun pa rin eh.
Alam nila, kasi alam nila yung psychology na maraming Pinoy na madaling maawain na
Diyos ko,
sige,
Lord.
bigyan na lang natin, yung mga ganon-ganon. So, ayun talaga.
Yung mga lumalabas na Chris Aquino for president. Tapos may mga prediction pa. Sigurado, itutulak nila. Either si Chris Aquino or si Bam Aquino magtatakbo pagka-presidente. Kasi both are Aquinos. To take advantage of this
name recall.
This death. The name recall. Oh my gosh. Ako ko lang Kung mangyari yan, Orion, di sabay sunod na ako dyan sa Singapore sa'yo, bro.
Oo. Talagang masisira. But what's gonna happen is, lalo na namang masisira yung branding nila. Yung branding ng pamilya, lalong mabubulok. Kasi lalabas na naman, hindi na naman yung pinakamagaling sana na kamag-anak ang napunta. Hindi eh. Sino lang yung perceived na malapit eh. Na dala rin yung pangalan. So parang, di ba, masisira talaga ang branding.
Ako para sa akin talaga, Ryan, talagang dapat, buti na lang yung mga viewers natin, medyo marami sa mga viewers natin talagang, bukas na yung mata. Nabuksan na yung mga mata sa mga kalokohan ng kabilang panig. Itong mga matagal nang nakaupo sa posisyon ay lumalabas na talaga yung tunay na kulay at ang aking lang sana hope yung general population, lalong-lalo na yung mga nasa poor communities, kasi iba rin ang pag-iisip nila, no? We are lucky to have the advantages of having access to social media because we see an exchange of ideas frequently, and then we're able to understand politics better. But how about the ones who live sa mga squatter areas, Orion, di na natin tawaging squatter areas, sabi ni Secretary Artogade, mga challenge areas. Ito mga challenge areas na kung saan ay nandun nakatira yung mga mahihirap, ay hindi sila ganyan mag-isip. Konting drama lang or iyak ay sila yung nadadala na sa mga ganyang drama. Yun ang kailangan nating tulungan na magkaroon ng mas malalim na understanding sa ating politika, kung paano nagwo-work itong laro na to para sa mga tao behind Noynoy nung 2009. Laro lang ito sa kanila eh. Sa kanila meron na silang yaman, gusto nila, nakaka-addict kasi yung power. At gusto nilang nakaupo sila they want to be in power, and they want to be in power for a long time. They don't even think about the fact that we are all mortals, and we will end up at one point or the other in the ground. But to them, while life is fleeting, for them power is it's like a drug that they can't seem to give up. And who suffers? The general population, the ones who are people too, who could have had better lives if the people who were in control or who are so-called leaders ay ginamit itong power na to para tulungan yung mga mahihirap. Hindi ganun sila mag-isip, Orion eh. Anong gagawin natin? And we have people like you na sobrang who could have contributed more to the country, leaving the country, working in Singapore because the opportunities here are diba? Few and far between.
Exactly.
Diba? Kaya siguro maging pause ito, no? Itong pagkamatay ni Noynoy Aquino, pag-isipan natin kung bakit ba naging namulat tayo sa mga pangalan na yan. At bakit tayo nandito sa posisyon na to at gamitin yung pagkamatay na to sa magkaroon ng mas malalim na pag-uusap. Ano bang kailangan natin gawin para magbago ang ating bansa for the better? I think we shouldn't talaga take for granted the fact that we are in a time where there is really an opportunity here that we can move forward and make things better. Diba, Ryan? Ikaw, anong masasabi mo doon?
Exactly. Wala, kailangan talaga, I mean, I don't know if people have watched this. I posted something earlier today. It's coming from a BBC documentary about the Industrial Revolution. 51 minutes yata. Basta it's like 1 hour long na documentary. Pero talagang nandun lahat nung paano nangyari yung Industrial Revolution at bakit yung Industrial Revolution doon sa England nangyari. Bakit sa Britain? Isa doon sa mga importanteng rason kung bakit nangyari yun dahil nawala nga yung pagiging centralized ng lahat ng power na lahat ng kilos kinakailangan ipa-approve muna dun sa main authority. Kasi sa France daw, kumbaga ikukumpara mo yung Britain versus France. Sa France, parang bago ka makakapag ng scientific na yung time na yun nung naka-absolute monarchy sila sa France, habang naka-parliamentary system naman ang Britain. So ang Britain, wala nang kinalaman yung monarch, symbolic na lang talaga siya. Ang tunay na head talaga doon, prime minister na, 'di ba? Who is an elected person. Kumbaga he has to go up the ranks. Whereas yung mga monarchy kasi napanganak ka lang talaga na na swerte ka, ikaw yung pinakapanganay na anak ng hari, edi hari ka rin pag namatay yung hari na yon. Parang ganoon. So hindi naman siya dahil sa sino yung magaling. Tapos lahat naka-centralize. So dun sa France nangyayari, anytime na may scientific discovery, yung ikaw meron kang na-discover, kailangan mo ipakita muna sa parang Académie des Sciences, the Science Academy, na sila yung magche-check bago ka makakapag-publish ng ng parang magandang discovery mo. Kailangan mo na lang i-check. It will take a long time. Bureaucratic. Whereas sa England, walang ganun. Parang laissez-faire sila masyado. Na parang, bahala na, sige. So, parang, first of all, business was encouraged. So, wala yung everything is may mga monopoly, ganyan, like what happened in France. Dito, sa Britain, it was very business-friendly. And then, if you have a good idea, and then you're easily able to find a financier to yung magkakaroon ka ng funding para dun sa maganda mong idea, then you can build your machine, yung invention mo, and you can make it happen. And then that's why the Industrial Revolution happened in Britain, not in France, and not in other parts of Europe. So yun yung parang importante talaga yung ganun, the fact that it was decentralized, in many ways decentralized. They didn't have too much of that parang overly regulated. It was very, very parang bahala kayo, you do what you can and make do, ganon. So that's why the Industrial Revolution happened there. So I encourage everyone to check out my profile, and I actually put that in on my timeline. Panoorin nyo, BBC yun na video, the documentary about the Industrial Revolution. Watch the whole thing. So, importante yung ganung sistema.
Tsaka importante rin yung mga tao na magtiyaga, na talagang pag-aralan yung kung anong makakabuti sa atin at try to be more discerning in getting the information on social media. Pag nakita ninyo na medyo sensationalized yung heading pa lang, isipin na kayo ninyo ay merong isang tao dyan na gusto ang aking maramdaman ay ganito at para aking reaction ay magamit sa politika. Ganun po mag-isip dapat kayo, lalong-lalo na pag political yung mga pinopost, tama sabi ni Arroyo, ang mga basahin natin, ang mga pag-aralan natin, kung makakabuti sa ating bansa. Huwag kalimutan na natin muna yung mga bagay, mga chismis na wala namang kabuluhan. At pag may nakikita kang mga tao na itong guys, sabi ni Hil lumapas, sympathy voting this coming 2022. At lahat yan ng may kita mo sa social media feed mo ay lahat ipapakita nila yung pagmamahal nila sa dating presidente. Alam mo na kaagad kung anong gusto nilang ipalabas. Na gusto nilang ipakita na itong presidente ang daming nagawa. Pero hindi pa rin maiwasan na lalabas pa rin yung mga kapalpakan,
Pero
meron yata
pag-isipan natin, no, kailan ba yung last na nangyari? O di 2009. August 1 ba yon yung namatay si Cory? August 1. Ngayon, malapit nang mag-July. Parang, di ba? Parang,
August 1 ba yun?
24. August 1 yun eh. August 1 namatay si Cory. August 1, 2009. O ito, this is before the 2022 elections. It's, again, pretty much almost the same time. You know, it's just a few months before the filing of candidacy.
And
So,
you know what the difference is though, Orion? Back in 2009 and now, 2022 is vastly different from 2009 because of social media.
Oh yes,
Right
yes, that's true. That's true.
Right now,
That's
no one
true.
controls the kumbaga walang one mouthpiece that can dictate what the sentiment should be. No one can bombard you with information like, for example, an ABS-CBN telling you, oh wow, kawawa, and they'll show like all these footages of Cory Aquino in EDSA, and then alam mo yon, talagang bigay-pugay todo, lahat ng tao na nanonood sa TV at mararamdaman mo yung parang magiging simpatiko ang Pilipino doon sa pangyayari ngayon. Meron ng social media, meron ng diversity yung opinion about the events, and people can decide for themselves na whether or not they should be giving as much credence or some support for certain causes. Meron na tayong mga options. Kaya hindi na pwede nilang i-dictate yung narrative sa panahon ngayon. Gaya ng sabi nito, merong tanong dito, Ryan, no? Alam ko gusto mo 30 minutes lang, pero if you don't mind, may tanong dito si Bago Bukas. Also recently, some news that Argo, the artist from ABS-CBN, and the Aiko Melendez are planning to run as congressmen and women in 2022. What do you guys think about this?
I don't know who Argo is. I mean, unfortunately, I don't know. I mean, I don't know who Argo is.
Yun, balik pa
Aiko
rin sa
Melendez, personality politics eh. Pero,
ganun pa rin.
ganun pa rin eh. We just really need to change the system. Change the system. I don't care who does it. I mean, honestly, I would have been very grateful to Noynoy if he had done it. If he had changed the 1987 Constitution at naging federal parliamentary tayo, tapos tinanggal yung mga 60-40, I would be singing praises of the guy. I would have been doing that, really. If he had only done that. Pero hindi niya ginawa.
Yung initial niya na agreement to it, 'di ba? Bago siya binara siguro ng mga close sa kanyang close circle na, uy, Noy, yung nanay mo hindi siguro gustong gawin 'yan. Diba? Doon yata siya na-discourage.
You know what's one of the biggest things that's really weird nga na discover ko nga rin is back in 2008 there was a resolution that was filed by Aquilino Pimentel, si Nene Pimentel, no? Junior, and tatay ni Coco, about federalism, di ba? About federalism na magkaroon daw ng constitutional convention ba or Constituent Assembly, basta gawin na babaguhin yung constitution para magkaroon ng federalism. Isa sa mga co-author noon ay kasama sa mga marami sila. Noy was a sponsor of it. So hindi ko maintindihan.
Binasa kaya
niya. Baka hindi. I don't know. But you know what I'm saying? But he was not against it. Tapos bakit pagdating na ng siya na yung nandun sa poder, ayaw niya. Kahit ni isang tuldok na pagbabago, ang isang kapital na gagawing maliit o maliit gagawing kapital o isang pagbabago ng kama o hindi pwede. No change to the 1987 Constitution.
Malamang lahat ng mga akalyado ng nanay niya, kinausap siya, tinawagan, tinext siguro, sinabi, uy, Noy, huwag mong galawin yan. Huwag mong hayaan na ipasa yan. Diba? Siguro na-realize ng mga tao na karamihan ng mga talagang ginagamit yung kanilang impluwensya sa Malacanang. Ang iniisip talaga yung kanilang yung kanilang interest at it's gonna be against their interest to change the constitution because they've been thriving under that constitution for a very long time. So why change the system when we are all getting rich and powerful? 'Di ba? Yun yung ano diyan eh. Yun talaga yung punot dulo niyan, Orion. Kaya yung frustration mo, no, pag iniisip ko, if you simplify what's been happening here in the Philippines, yung frustration mo, bakit tumatagal itong gusto mong mangyari na reforma sa ating konstitusyon, itong kahit na yung mabago lang yung konstitusyon, kaya tumatagal. Dahil talaga dito sa mga tao na to na hindi natin kilala or maybe kilala natin, who are working behind the scenes, preventing that from happening. You know, they're doing everything they can within their powers to prevent something like that from happening because it's gonna create an even playing field for a lot of people. And they don't want that. They want the advantage, 'di ba? Why would they do that? 'Di ba? Takot sila mawala sa kanilang yaman at kapangyarihan eh. 'Di ba? Yun yung problema natin, Orion. Kaya siguro para sa nagiging frustrating itong process na to. Dahil merong magbabara niyan. Tsaka syempre, pag-usapan na rin natin itong mga kaliwa, mga komunista, hindi naman nila kailangan ng reforma sa konstitusyon nila, ibaguhin ng patalsikin ang gobyerno at sila ang pumalit. So lahat ng sa tingin nila na pwedeng magbago at magbibigay ng solusyon sa mga problema ng Pilipinas na hindi galing sa kanila ay kukontrahin nila. 'Di ba? Yun yung mindset ng mga komunista. Hindi naman namin kailangan na ang gobyerno will work because the more the government is held back, the more the government can't provide for the poor, it will be an advantage for our revolution. Tama ba?
Kaya
Yung aking,
yes, that's exactly why they act that way. Kaya ganyan ang mga komunista. Ayaw nila ng kahit konting ginhawa kasi pag nagkaroon ng paggiginhawa, ang mga tao ay hindi napapabor sa kanila. Kasi parang bakit ba tayo maghihimagsik parang gumaganda na naman ang buhay natin. Parang ganoon. So gusto ng grupong to, itong mga bobong mga komunista, ang gusto nila armed struggle. Ayaw nila yung mga alam mo yung parang kaizen, yung mga pakonti-konting pagbabago na little by little, you know, when you're learning a language or you're learning a song or learning music, it's a step-by-step process. You don't become biglang magaling at once, 'di ba? Every day, constant practice, magagaling ka. That's how most progress happens. Gusto ng mga komunista yung parang nasa baba tapos magagalit ang mga tao dahil sa galit maghihimagsik. Tapos dahil sa himagsikan na may patayan, may dahas, ganyan, sila na yung nandun sa taas dahil naka-armado sila yung mga ganon. Yun yung gusto nila Ayaw nila ng mga paunti-unting mga kahit slowly but surely na changes. Ayaw nila.
At dito mo rin makikita, Orion, na yung kanilang mga hindi nila iniisip yung kapakanan talaga ng mga mamamayan dahil they are willing to compromise their principles by engaging people who have different principles or different ideology. Can you see yung marriage nga between the Liberal Party, for example, and the left? Biglang parang nagkaroon sila ng gusto nilang magsama-sama ngayon, magkaroon ng parang united opposition. Even if they have different ideology or they see how to run government differently. You have diba? Just because they know they can only win by increasing their numbers, they don't care if you're a communist. I will support you because we have the same enemy. What happens then if they do succeed? Diba?
Sila ang iitsepuera sila ng mga komunista. Paparilin
sigurado
sila.
Yan. Ipapahilera sila sa luneta, firing squad. Pag naging komunista na tayo, ganun mangyayari or ikukulong sila without even due process. If that's, and I don't think people would want that, no? And if the communists or the leftist or the communist-leaning people who are supporters of the communist movement were using their coconut, finally they would realize that they're not gonna get anything out of this movement, and it's not gonna help their the Filipino people, even though it's being romanticized that way. The one thing that both the communists and the opposition have in common, Orion, is they tend to romanticize everything. They want to gusto nila yung bugso ng puso, yung ng damdamin parati nilang nilalaro. Sa kanila it's all just a game. Persuasion is about parang stoking the fire in the poor people's hearts, so that they can that becomes a means to an end, and they'll end up in power. And I don't think that's gonna happen. I'm just hoping na Orion, people wake up na tama na siguro
I think a lot of people have already awakened, and I think it's just right now it looks akala ng mga tao na parang daming mga dilaw, pero let's look at what happens in 1 month. I actually think people will be more parang eyes wide open. Right now it's just day 2. It's just day 2 after he passed on. But I think what I really want to make clear again is patay na yung tao, at sa totoo lang hindi talaga siya yung may kagawa nito. It's lang siya he was just really a pawn. Isa lang siyang puppet lang siya talaga ng ilang mga players na nakapuwersa sa kanya na na gamitin niya ang kanyang namanang pangalan, and he was highly pressured into something he really clearly did not want, and he knew he was not capable of, and that's the truth. He was suffering for all this. That's why sirang-sira. I can tell na part of his ailments are psychosomatic, parang may psychological, parang siguro his conscience was eating him. I can
imagine the depression that he was enduring, or he's been suffering from mental issues.
Ang daming namatay dahil hindi naman talaga siya prepared hindi naman siya talaga bagay sa pagiging presidente. Napilitan lang siya ng mga ilang niya mga taong mga kingmakers na yan. Kasama na dyan si Mar Rojas. Si Mar Rojas, namatay si Cory. Hindi naman ako ganun ka-winnable sa mga survey. Noy, ikaw na lang. Makikisabay na lang ako sa'yo. Ganon. Isa rin si Mar doon.
Pero Orion, sa tingin ko, knowing Mar, yung kanyang pride chicken, sa pag-iisip niya nung nangyari yon, kinain niya yung pride niya. Kasi siguro maraming mga sa kanilang circle nagsabi sa kanya, Mar, huwag ka man nang tumakbo. Si Noy na lang kasi siya mas winnable.
Yun nga eh.
Tapos ang mga promises sa kanya huwag ka mag-alala, pagkatapos si Noy, ikaw na naman.
Diba? Oo, may mga ganun.
Ganun yun. Ganun yung mabanat dyan. Diba?
Gamitin muna natin tong oportunidad na ito. Yan, sige. Sige, hintay na lang ako.
Huwag kang mag-alala, gagawin ka naming Secretary of the DILG, SILG ka, of Interior and Local Government. At doon, pwede mong i-set up yung iyong diba? Yung grassroots sa program mo. Diba? May control ka sa mga LGUs. Yan yung mga dyan mga compromises na nangyayari behind the scenes. At diba? Kaya nga sila nagka-problema kung sana nagkasundo yung kampo ni Grace Poe at ni Mar Rojas, di siguro nagkaroon ng chance na talunin si Presidente Duterte nung tumakbo siya noong 2016, pero hindi. Ayaw magpatalo nung dalawa. Fried chicken pa rin.
Fried chicken.
Mahilig sa KFC yung dalawa. Mas winnable ako. Ganun yung dyan yung mga
mas winnable ako yan. Wala naman silang coalition building capability, which is unlike what happens in a parliamentary system. In a parliamentary system, you can have coalitions like that, but in a presidential system, it's winner take all. It's only one winner and that's it.
Alam mo, Orion, meron ako natandaan bigla kasi may napanood na naman ako sa Netflix, maganda. Ano ba yun? Pop hits ba yun? Basta parang yung title has the word pop. It talks about music, the music industry, no? And then I came across one of the episodes. It talks about the Swedish producers. How hindi natin alam behind the scenes, yung mga nagpo-produce ng hits for the last few decades, na mga number one hits, are mga Swedish producers. At mga Americans are going to Sweden because of their talent in producing hits. Start with ABBA way back in the day.
Yeah.
And there's a saying though, tinatanong sila what makes the Swedish, bakit grabe kayo naging breeding ground for great producers? Anong sikreto nyo? Alam mo lahat ng sinasabi nila? We don't know. Pero meron palang saying in Sweden, in Swedish, I forget the term, no? But ang ibig sabihin nun is, hindi mo kailangan ipagmalaki ang sarili mo. Let the work speak for itself. Anong tawag doon?
Okay. I don't know if that's Jantes law. There's another, kasi the Scandinavians have this thing called Jantes law na parang bawal ka magyabang. May mga parang
hindi sila wala sa kanilang kultura yung ipagyabang ang kanilang accomplishment. Kumbaga, so mahirap sa kanila pag-usapan yung success nila. Kaya alam mo, yung kung meron man tayong matututunan sa mga European, no, lalong-lalo na dito sa kwento ng itong mga Swedish producers na I can somehow sort of like correlate with what's happening here in the Philippines, which is the opposite. People are so obsessed with their, kumbaga, anong tawag nito? Masyado tayong particular with yung ating credentials. Di ba? Yung mga tao dito, ako yung may dyan, ako gumawa niyan eh. Ako yung dapat patayuan ako ng revolto. Tapos yung mga tao naman, masyado silang hero worshippers nga talaga. Parang kailangan, ito kasi magaling yan. Kasi nag-graduate ng Wharton yan eh. Tsaka ito, atinista yan eh. Taga-UP yan eh. Ganon. Na hindi kumbaga, walang sense of modesty or humility sa ibang mga Pilipino who are supposed to be smart and who are supposed to should be leaders of society. Wala sa kanila yung modesty that we should adapt from people who've been successful. You know what I mean? And part of the success is the humility. The Japanese don't boast their accomplishments. And it would appear that the Swedes don't as well. And it worked for them in their success. So Ryan, tama ka, Singapore, meritocracy yung dyan eh. Yung term na ginagamit. Yung kung ano yung accomplishment mo, yun ang magsasabi na magaling ka. Hindi mo dapat mismo magsabi na magaling ka. Diba? And isa pang bagay sa mga Swedes, Arroyo, apart from yung modesty at saka yung humility, is hard work. Talagang they really work hard to accomplish something, to excel. And I think that is something that we need to really learn as a society, di ba? As Filipinos.
Indeed. Okay, so we're towards the end of the hour, so I think we'll have to start wrapping it up soon.
Oo nga. Alam ko dapat 30 minutes lang, hindi natin mapapigilan sa Nino Ryan sa.
Anyway, I think I just wanted to say, rest in peace, Noy.
Rest in peace.
I don't hold it against you per se because I know that you were forced into this. It was not your fault per se. You didn't want this, other people did, and you were forced into it. You were dragged into it. You just wanted to play your games. You just wanted to enjoy your life. You just wanted to go to House of Minis. You just wanted to enjoy life as an ordinary person. You had
enjoy your PlayStation.
Yeah, you didn't have these special ambitions of wanting to, do some great thing. You didn't. You had none of that. And you knew you were not meant for that kind of position. And it just destroyed you when things obviously fell apart. Yeah, I mean, all those massacres, all those mga kapalpakans, which are the result of you not being the right person for the job. And it's not me. I'm not insulting you for this. I'm just basically telling people that you were forced into this. That's my eulogy. I'm saying it's not your fault. It's the fault of those around you who got you into this, and they're the ones who have to be held accountable. They should be the ones held accountable. Yeah, they should be the ones held accountable. We know what happened. We know what happened.
So RIP, rest in peace, President Pinoy. One thing lang siguro I can say, Orion, about Pinoy. One good memory of mine with him was I had the chance to interview him when he was senator. And he fondly talked about the radio station I used to work for before, 99.5 RT. And he had this really cool story about going home from school and while listening to 99.5 RT, going to school and going back home. So kitang-kita mo sa mukha
Audiophile
niya.
nga siya eh.
Audiophile.
Audiophile siya eh. Enjoy siya. Audiophile siya. Yung mga pera-pera niya, nalalagay niya sa mga bibisya ng mga magandang speaker, mga gano'n yun yung mga simple joys in life niya. Hindi naman siya naghahanap na maka-invento ng machine, no, ng
Totoo.
'di ba? Hindi siya yung ganung tao, hindi siya yung mga parang Bill Gates na gustong gumawa ng ng magandang software. Wala siyang ganun.
Wala siyang delusions of grandeur, Orion.
Oo.
Hindi siya yung nagano.
Ordinaryong tao siya.
Gusto lang niya i-enjoy yung kanyang pagiging binata, pagiging, alam mo yun, wala siyang iniisip na mga kung ano iniisip.
Pinilit lang siya kasi nga, nandun yung pangalan niya. Yung pangalan niya, kapangalan niya yung tatay niya nasikat eh. So, ginamit. Ngayon, wala siyang magagawa. May ibang tao nagsasabi, nagpagamit siya. He's to blame. It's easy for you to say that people in that position are not easily able to get out because they have no... Kung mayaman siya on his own right and he had his own money, madali. He could easily say, no, I don't want... Dependent siya sa stipend, sa allowance ng kanyang pamilya. So, kung anong gusto ng pamilya, susundin dapat niya. Ganun yun. So, condolences sa pamilya ng I do have people I am somewhat related to some people in their family. So I mean, really, I send my deepest sympathies, and I don't blame him for it, but I blame those people who are manipulating behind the scenes. Yeah. Those are the people who have to answer for all this.
Ultimately, Pinoy, Noy was just a victim of
he was a victim
of this machine, this very corrupt system that we have here in the Philippines.
Yes.
So,
kailangan palitan na ang system. Kailangan palitan talaga ang system na bulok. Para hindi na magkakaroon ng mga katulad niya na ginagamit.
Let it be a cautionary tale. Let it be a cautionary tale for everyone that sana hindi na maulit, and the power lies in the Filipino people. You have the power to vote the right people in government and to support certain reforms that are needed. So yun na lang po. Hanggang doon na lang po ang ating programa. Maraming salamat kay Lorenzo Pescador sa pagkinik sa Istoryang Futbolero. Maraming salamat kay Rob Polvorsa, Camille Bonifacio, kay Adrian Tepes. Update sa RBH2, Orion daw, nasa Senado na ang RBH2. Malalaman natin siguro in the next few months kung anong mangyayari doon. Right now, naka-recess ang ang Kongreso, Orion, pati ang Senado.
That's right. That's
so, it's gonna resume by July. Merong final SONA ang presidente. At as far as I know, people from the DILG are trying very hard to get the RBH2, the amendments to the Constitution, to be mentioned by the President in the last SONA. But I don't know pero sana nga ay mabanggit ni Presidente at maging priority bill at talagang mapasa sa Senado para by 2022 ang ating objective natin as advocates for constitutional reform. By 2022 ay maging masasama yung plebiscite doon sa eleksyon. At doon rin magkakaroon ng oportunidad ng ating mga kababayan na bumoto for these amendments against the economic restrictions from the 1987 Constitution. Ayan, so Ryan, maraming salamat. At,
maraming salamat.
Ni-remind mo ako na may vlog tayo ngayong gabi. Sobrang load ko na. Yung Kenshin yung nagta-trending ngayon sa Netflix. Natapos mo na ba yung anong title nun yung si Batusay?
Hindi ko na napanood yun.
Hindi mo pa napapanood? Parang lupit si Samurai X, ang lupit ng ng mga sword fights doon na talagang the best I'd ever seen. Talo pa si Henry Sanada. Naalala mo ba si Henry Sanada, yung mga ninja movies na pinapanood natin ng kabataan natin? Solid, bro. Yun na yun, guys. Good night, guys.
Mga kababayan,
thank you so much.
huwag niyong kakalimutan, puntahan yung correctphilippines.org.
Yun.
At panoorin niyo yung yung tungkol sa Industrial Revolution na BBC documentary. Okay, that's a very good documentary para malaman ano kailangan ng Pilipinas para umasenso at maging mas abansado. Yun.
Salamat dyan, Orion. You're doing the research for us. You're making it easier for people to find very valuable information online. Okay, Ryan. Good night, everyone. Thank you for watching.
Thanks, Ron.
Istoryang Futbolero. Enjoy your weekend. Bye!
Bye-bye.